Welcome back. Obesity has reached such epidemic proportions that World Health officials have decided they need to take a more aggressive approach to tackle it. They said they need more efforts to head off a global explosion of fat-related diseases. In the last 2 years, experts have confirmed that obesity, diabetes and heart diseases are spreading to the developing world, and have experts confirmed that 22 million of the world's children are under five are overweight or obese. Research indicates that in some parts of Africa, obesity afflicts more children than malnutrition does. To shed more light on this serious issue, we are delighted to have with us in the studio this morning Dr. Munir William, Professor of Plastic Surgery. Thank you so much, Doctor, for joining us this morning.
Thank you.
Good morning, sir, first of all. We are surprised to hear that obesity rates are high in the African states, where one would presume that there is a problem of malnutrition. But it appears, on the contrary, that obesity is an equally serious problem in some of the African states, and unfortunately, Egypt is included. Why do you think is the case? And how should we, or what would be the main causes, and how should we stand up for it?
Okay, let's speak about, to start with, obesity means what? Obesity means that body weight increases by about 15% or more than the ideal weight relating to the age and sex. This is obesity. Also, we have to speak about the behavior of obesity. Obesity is a problem not in Africa only. Obesity in all countries all over the world. We find obesity is a major problem in the United States. Obesity is a major problem even in many countries, not in African countries. So let's speak about obesity. Obesity means accumulation of fat. To start with, we have to differentiate between accumulation of fluids inside the body, which means edema. Accumulation of fluids. Edema has many other causes. Edema related maybe due to accumulation cardiac diseases, which means diseases to the heart, or maybe to renal diseases, which means diseases in the kidney, or maybe to hepatic diseases, which means diseases in the liver. This is edema. But today we are speaking about obesity, which means not accumulation of fluids inside the body, but accumulation of fat cells inside the body. Let's speak about causes. Why obesity is a major problem. There are many causes. To start with, there is a genetic cause. In the last decade, it is proved by some doctors in the States that there is a gene related to accumulation, certain chromosome number 17, there is a gene related to obesity. This means that obesity has a genetic cause, congenital cause, hereditary cause. This is number one. Number two, obesity related to some change in the endocrine hormones inside the body.
The thyroid, you mean?
To start with, thyroid, which is a gland in front of the neck, decrease in the secretion of the thyroid gland may lead to accumulation of what is known as myxedema in children, which is some type of obesity. Second gland inside the body is what is known as pituitary gland, which is present in the base of the skull. Third gland in the body is the suprarenal gland, which is present above the kidney. This is the second cause of obesity. Third cause of obesity related to the psychic element of the person itself. We find that sometimes persons behave as, I am depressed, so I'll try to compensate by eating. This is psychic element. Number four, the modern life. Our modern life. We find that our modern life, everything is by remote. You don't like to move, you don't like to do anything. Bad habits during eating. You eat during watching TV, you eat during hearing radio, you eat during reading newspaper, and so on. Even fast meals. Fast meals is very, all these lead to depression and formation of obesity. These are the main causes. But as I say, it is not related to Africa only. It is a disease all over the world. In the last decade, for us as medical doctors, in the last decade, obesity was a syndrome. For example, you say, this person is suffering from diabetes mellitus or suffering from pancreatic tumor. He is a second from one of his symptoms and signs is obesity. Nowadays, for us as medical doctors, obesity is a disease. It is a separate disease, which has many side effects. So even the behavior of the disease itself changed for us. Now it is a disease. 10 years ago, it was a symptom of a disease, not a disease.
Dr. Munir William, some mothers believe that when they overfeed their children, they will become healthy. So we find out that children under the age of 5 or below 10, and they are very fat. What would you tell those mothers? How would you enlighten them about the dangers of obesity for their children?
Here comes the problem. The problem is related to the family itself. We find the problem starts from the mother, starts from the father. You have to do this homework and give you some piece of chocolate. You have to do some else and else, and I'll give you something. Everything is related to eating. Here is the behavior itself. The behavior, number one. Number two, the quality of food itself. I find that there must be raw vegetables present in our meat. There must be raw fruits in our meal. But today we find this is shifted to fast meals, which are burnt fats and so on. Here is the behavior, which is the main cause of presence of this obesity. Of course, let's shift. The problem comes from 3 main points. The first point is related to the diet itself, which is a family problem. The second problem related to the sporting or aerobics and what so on. Even walking. We don't teach our babies, our children, how to move, even to walking. We help them to stay at rooms, closed rooms, no movements, just playing, and so on.
They don't highlight the importance of sports and exercising.
Yeah, this is the second major problem which is present here. So there is something related to our behavior. And unfortunately, this is not related to our country. This is all over the world. You see, everything is not related to underdeveloped countries. We find these fast breaks, these less movements related to children all over the world. Okay?
Right. You earlier defined the term obesity, but if we are going to address the problem of obesity according to children, we should go and explore the roots of obesity. It starts with, for example, simply packing the lunchbox of a kid. And we have also to ask ourselves if this is a state of mind, the obesity, is it a behavior, an attitude that we should teach our kids to do so and not to do so. So what exactly should we do in order to create a stable child and avoid obesity?
I'd like to speak about a very important point. Obesity means accumulation of fat cells. So let's see what is the behavior of fat cells. Behavior of fat cells before puberty in children differs completely than behavior of fat cells after puberty. Before puberty, we find what is known as hyperplasia. This means that fat cells increase in number. And here lies the major problem. There is increase of number of fat cells before puberty. But the behavior of fat cells after puberty, in adolescence and so on, we find there is increase in size. There is hypertrophy. So there is a big difference in the behavior of fat cells which are responsible for formation of obesity before puberty than after puberty. So, for example, if we let our children, our kids to eat something such as burnt and so on, fast foods and so on, here fat cells which are present inside the body increase in the number, and here lies the problem, not increase in the size. So once you give him all these fast foods out of vegetables, free of fruits and so on, you will find fat cells inside the body starts to behave in mad way. There is hyperplasia, there is increase in number, and here lies the problem. And in some cases we find my kid was thin, and then before puberty he becomes to be fatty. What is the problem? The problem is that the number of fat cells in this thin person is high, but once these fat cells tries to take energy and tries to take food before puberty, we find these fat cells behaves in a major way, in a mad way, and starts to increase in size, and this child turns its shape from being thin to being a very fatty person. So in order to decline this, we have to look to the behavior of the fat cells which are responsible for the formation of obesity. So the problem lies in the hormonal stage before puberty, lies in the manner of eating of our children, lies in the behavior of this person in the sports, in the experts, in the aerobics and so on. All these accumulate in order to give us fatty children.
Doctor, I want to make sure I understood you rightly. That means that before puberty, children who are fat, who are overweight, will remain for the rest of their lives with the same size or even bigger. And those who are thin, they will remain for the rest of their life the same. They will keep the same shape. Did I understand you rightly?
Yeah.
Okay. Doctor, there are certain foods which are totally and absolutely unacceptable for a child. They should be avoided by the mothers and by the children. Would you cite some of them?
Yes, at first we have to control our children. We have to give them some lines of life manner. At first we have to adapt our children to take fresh vegetables. These fresh vegetables contain some material, some food, which helps their body to be more brighter, more healthy, and so on. Also, we have to deal, salad is very important for our children to start with. Number 2 is fresh fruits. Fresh fruits contain vitamin C, which is responsible for the strength of blood vessels and so on, so they continue their life in a good, healthy manner. Number 3, we have to prevent them from burnt food and fast food. These fast foods are very serious for our children due to they help to accumulation of fat inside the body in different areas inside the body. You see accumulation of fat subcutaneous in the body, you will find many papillas or many swellings present inside the body. Accumulation of fat in the liver makes fatty liver, which is very, very serious for a child to grow up and so on. Accumulation of fat in the blood vessels leads to formation of atherosclerosis. You see, you can imagine that atherosclerosis starts since childhood. Atherosclerosis, which is a major disease, very serious to start to say that it can start since childhood, because of bad habits during eating. The accumulation of fat in bones may be difficulty in walking, may be bad pains, low back pains as for children, and so on. There are major problems related. This disease, which is obesity, is a disease of this century. So we have to control the diet of our children. In the meantime, we have to say to our children that they must eat without watching any other else. Eat is for eating. He has to concentrate during his eat. Also, we have to say to our children that eating multiple small meals is better than eating heavy meals. So the new behavior all over the world is not to eat breakfast, dinner, and supper, and so on. No, you have to take multiple small meals on different areas, in different parts, in different times. This is very important. Also, we have to tell our children that they're important for them to take sports. They have to take even walking, just walking. If I adapt my child to walk daily for about 20 minutes, this is very enough for him to continue his life to be in a good way. Otherwise, we would find problems related to obesity. And obesity, of course, related to grades. We find many types of obesity. There is mild obesity, there is moderate obesity, there is severe or horrid obesity, and we can differentiate types of obesity according to what is known as mass number. You see, I can say this type of obesity in this child is mild obesity, and in that child is moderate obesity, and so on, according to what is known as mass number. Mass number means the division of body weight in kilograms divided in square of height in meters. Suppose my child, this child is about 70 kilometers, and his height is about 106 centimeters. So mass number is the division of this 70 kilometers divided by 1.7 square. So this number can tell me this child, is it mild obesity when the mass number is between 15 and 20? Or this child is moderate obesity if the mass number is between 20 and 30? Or this obesity in this child is horrid or massive obesity if the mass number is above 30. So we can graduate our patients, our children, to a type of obesity according to the mass number. Okay. And later on, if we heal and we deal in treatment according to the mass number, there is a line of treatment of this child. You see?
Okay. Doctor, talking about the foods that should be avoided and relating it to the question Dina asked you before, that means that while preparing the lunchbox in the morning, the mother should avoid putting like chocolate biscuits in her children's lunchbox. It's not healthy in the morning to have chocolate biscuits and junk food.
If it is daily, it is not healthy, of course.
It should be totally avoided.
Yeah. Why not to give him an apple? Why not to give him something fresh vegetable? Why not? Besides this chocolate and so on. If it is daily, you have to give him chocolate and you have to give him biscuit and we have to give something related in containing sugar in high content, this is a bad behavior. The behavior here starts from the mother. Why not to give him an apple to take him with him to the school? Why not? Why not to give him something which is fresh, fresh juice beside, instead of giving him chocolate and so on? The behavior here the behavior starts from the mother. The mother in the start, she is responsible for all her family, not for children, for her husband and so on. So the problem starts from house.
Right. It seems from what you're saying, doctor, that it's excellent to know all those instructions. And from what I can understand, that is, it looks like it is going to be a process of orientation to a kid more than a daily routine. So what if this kid, it's the other way around, what if this kid is always craving on sweets and chocolates and he cannot adapt to the healthy habits? What am I supposed to do? What other steps should I apply so that this kid could comply with the rules that you're talking about?
I think in school they try to teach him some main subjects, such as sporting in the school. Here, this line of sporting inside schools will help the child to get rid of fats which are present inside the body. So sports and aerobics in school will help. Number one, to prevent accumulation of fat in the wall of blood vessels, which makes major problems to the child later on. We find the incidence of cardiac attacks, the incidence of brain attacks, brain hemorrhage, and so on, decreases if this child is related to sports and aerobics and so on. This is number one. Number two, sporting in schools will help the child to burn a fat as a main source of energy. Not proteins, not carbohydrates. This is number two. Number three, sports during schools will help the child to will lead burning of the fat, which is present subcutaneous more than burning of fats which is present inside muscles. Later on, this will help the child to be in good, strong muscles and can take teaching during schools. His orientation for teaching, his orientation for everything will be more better. But if this child taking a bad behavior of food, and then there is no behavior or no manner during school for sports and so on, this child, I think, will go from bad to worse and so on, and will deteriorate. And even his concentration during his teaching will be late.
Dr. Munir, are some children more vulnerable to obesity than others? I mean, because sometimes we see a child who eats a lot junk food, chocolate, biscuits, and he's keeping a good shape.
Right.
Yes.
Whereas others happening.
Not almost, but this happens. Why? This is related to the genetic cause, which I said in the start of my
Even
speech.
adults.
This is related to the genetic cause. You see, the number of fat cells which are present inside the body is less from the start due to genetic causes. You see, and here the hereditary cause is present. I'm speaking about, you see some person eats more and more and more and nothing, his shape is still the same.
Yes, and others who eat very little and they put on weight very easily.
Okay, the genetic cause here is only, in order to explain, here related to congenital causes due to some gene related to chromosome number 17 as proved in the last 10 years. You see, here lies the genetic cause. If you investigate and find what we can find other problems, you see, for example, some persons eat a lot, and there is hyperfunction of the thyroid gland, which is a cause due to burning this fat, and so is a sin. If there is no cause proved by our lab investigations, the cause related later on to genetic cause. So we have to investigate first in order to know the cause. If everything is all right, we relate to genetic causes, which can be proved easily.
Genetic causes are curable. They could be dealt with.
You are in need for a child to be thin or sick or fatty.
If because of genetic causes the child is fat.
Some genetic causes make the child fat, and some genetic causes make the child thin.
And you can deal with this.
With both.
With the fat child.
Yes, of course, with the fat child. From my job, I can deal with the fat child.
Yeah. Through medication?
I am a surgeon.
Or therapy or surgery?
You see, we have to give instructions at first. He must do 3 lines of treatment. First line of treatment is diet control. You have to delete the person. My behavior is not to say to the person never to eat something like such as so and so and so. But I'd like to eat everything. You have to eat everything, but in special quantities according to his age, according to his behavior, according to his work, and so on. This is number one, related to regime control. Number two is sports and aerobics and so on. Number three, which is very important, is the child's will. I have to let him learn and know that he must have a will to be in such shape, not to be fatty, not to be obese, and so on and so on. If he hasn't this will, this child and his family will be out, will be fat. Otherwise, the role of surgeon as a plastic surgeon is present. Here, plastic surgery, if there are many cases we find that obesity is very horrible for the child, and the plastic surgeon must interfere in order to control.
Right.
There are many cases to do this.
Finally, doctor, what is your golden message to every woman who is watching us right now, briefly, in order to let her kids avoid obesity?
As I said, there must be 3 lines of treatment. The first line of treatment is the mother, the family, there must be diet control. Number 2, there is a line of sports in life of these children. Number 3, there must be a will for the family and the child in order not to be obese. Otherwise, we shall see them in the operating rooms in many operations, and this is not good, and I don't wish my children to enter to pass many operations in order to decrease body weight. We advise them to have a will to be thin, and their behavior in life must be under control.
So keep it as a last resort, the operation.
Of course, operation, and there are many types of operations. We can take another setting to speak about operations, different types of operations related to the mass number. You see, if the mass number is type of obesity is simple obesity, there is line of operation such as liposuction. If moderate operation, there is more difficult operation like what is known as dermolipectomy. If more serious operations, there is more operation as encircling and so on. As operations, there are many types of operations. All depends on the mass number, all depends on the type of obesity, whether simple obesity or moderate obesity or massive obesity.
Okay. Dr. Munir William Labib, Professor of Plastic Surgery, thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Thank you.
Thank you. The Saudi Embassy in Cairo hosted recently a reception marking the 80th National Day. The celebration was attended by an array of distinguished guests from Egypt, Saudi Arabia, and of course ambassadors of Arab countries here in Cairo. Our colleague Karim Gamaluddin has the full story in this report.